And we were fighting over the Confederate flag for 50 plus years, and it came down in 70 days. Because when there is a purity of your purpose, when there is a depth of your love on display, what matters the most, nothing stops light, not even darkness. That's the power of faith, though. It didn't say how it said how they should treat him, not how he should have treated them. And what I think we miss in the faith realm is the importance of exercising our faith as a compass for ourselves, not necessarily forcing others to believe what we believe. If we want to impact others, let's live it right. Let's do it right, not preach it. I think it was St. Francis of Assisi who said, proselytize always. When necessary, use words.
That example is so powerful. And I think about you as a legislator or a policymaker. How do you think about the reach of policy, of legislation? You were first here in the Senate in 2013. There was this terrible incident in Chicago where there's a young girl gunned down by a gang member who thought that she was someone else. And President Obama at the time, he said, no law or set of laws can prevent every senseless act of violence in our country. When a child opens fire on another child, there's a hole in that child's heart that the government can't fill. So when you think of yourself as a legislator, policymaker, how do you use your position to speak to all of us that it's not always about the tactics of what law is passed, it's how we treat each other?
Yeah, I'll say this will probably be disappointing to some of my legislative friends, but 99% of the legislation that we work on will never become law. If we're lucky, 99%. So the question is, what is this role that we have been given by the American people, by our friends back home in South Carolina, from my perspective? There is a perch, there is an influence that comes with this position that is incredibly powerful and really important. That President Obama would refer to the fact that government isn't the answer, that community is far more important than government, is absolutely essential and necessary to never forget. Those types of shootings can be avoided by what we started talking about a few minutes ago around family. Gang members very consistently are joining a family and not a gang from their perspective, having spoken to some members. I can tell you that without any question, the more time we spend on building and developing community, the better off we will be. The more time we as elected officials see ourselves as community leaders, in addition to legislators, and we use our perch to bring people together, the better off we will be. Our country is having a hopelessness epidemic. There's a reason why we have 107,000 people who have died of overdoses. Out of the 35,000 folks, the numbers may be off a little bit, over 30,000 people died due to guns. 2/3, around 62%, were suicides. All the conversations you'll hear around guns, the one we haven't heard much about is suicides, the leading cause. So we have a hopelessness epidemic on our hands as well, and we can bridge that through community.
And family.
Well, family is the foundation of community. I mean, the most important subgroup in any nation is the family. I used to be, looking back at a different life, when I was in local government, I was the chairman of the South Carolinians for Healthy Family Formation. Because as a guy that grew up without my dad in the household, it was so important for me to think about and talk about how family forms and the foundation that comes with it. There's a security that Oscar will never know that he has because his dad's in the house. He won't even know that it's there. If it's not there, I knew that it was missing.
I think about this all the time, particularly because I work with communities in which that is not the norm.
And I grew up in that community. And I will tell you that the difference is incredible. But a mentor came in at the right time, and a few of them, and helped fill some of the hole. I won't say bridge the gap because it's probably overstated, but he did fill some of the potholes and gave me direction when I needed it. One guy named Al Jenkins, who was a small business owner, great man, helped me start my Allstate insurance business when he gave me $40,000 and said, you know what, I went to the bank and said, can I get a loan? He said, well, what's your assets? It's like a 10-year-old car with 253,000 miles on it. He said, you don't know what an asset is? I'm like, obviously I don't. So the bank once I had $40,000, I had an asset. So the bank loaned me more money because I had money, right? Fascinating conversation on this stuff. But the truth is that having a mentor who believed in me, who watched me for several years, he watched me from 1989 to 1999 before he made an investment in my business. He became a customer before he became an investor. But that 10 years where I had a strong, powerful African-American role model who taught me low profile. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Taught me how to be faithful in all your efforts. Taught me how to be disciplined when no one's watching. It was a force to be reckoned with. And then John Lenise, the other guy who happened to be a white guy, came when I was 15, 19, taught me that having a job is a good thing, but creating jobs is a better thing. One day you'll know the difference between a profit and an income. And when you do, you'll be able to change your community. So there is a way for us to form a foundation that's better than the one maybe you have. It's just better to have that now.
Yes. I know that we're actually very short on time.
Oh, I thought too much. Too long.
No, it's been amazing. But I want to perhaps potentially end on how you end the book, which is that you fast forward to the year 2070, and you envision this beautiful future that's within our grasp, that we're not so divided by race or class or gender or what separates us today. What has to happen between now and 2070 to reach the future that you lay out in the book?
For me, let me try some here. For me, I think it really is, this gut punch that we're going through right now is very instructive for this nation. I think it's necessary. I think it's necessary for us to wrestle with some of the more foundational issues of who we are, where we're going, how we're going to get there. Are we going to go together or not? I think the answer is we're going to go together or not at all. I think it's interesting and frankly helpful for us to go through this tribal conversation to see how hard it is to try to make up for past discrimination with future discrimination.
Yeah.
It's not working really well for us right now. We're going to try to figure that out. We're going to figure it out quickly. The truth is that all the tribes that we're putting together, whether it's a Republican tribe or a Democrat tribe or a black one or a white one or a class system or a caste system, whether it's centralized control or not, I think all of that will burn off, and what it will produce is an American family that has more respect and appreciation for the necessity of pursuing the American dream as one family, and we will break the barriers that divide us into smaller categories so that people in the same socioeconomic groups see the problems the same and see the solutions the same, and those who are working on their behalf figure out setting the rules of the road and then getting out of the way and letting people win or lose based on their efforts. It's a good thing, not a bad thing. And not thinking so much about centralized control, but thinking about the power of the individual being the greatest minority in the country. I think we're heading there, and that's really good news.
Yeah. So final question. What are the characteristics of the leader that needs to forge that future?
Well, I think someone has to be a purveyor of hope. I think we really need someone who sees this country as a single family unit, and someone who's willing to stake their lives in the fact that they're right for that. And we need leaders who are sacrificial in order for us to get there, without any question. And then we need disciplined, focused, goal-oriented leaders who demand demand the best from the country because they're demanding it from themselves first.
Please join me in thanking Senator. Senator has to move.
Oscar, floor is yours, brother.
That's a life moment right there. That's my son Oscar, 10. I have to mention Camille, who's 12, just so there's symmetry amongst the kids.